This is a bonus episode of History as It Happens. It's July 29th, 2026. Is Saudi Arabia on the way to becoming a nuclear power? Well, it's possible now because a long sought-after agreement with the United States will allow Saudi Arabia to enrich uranium on its soil. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has been trying to seal such a deal for more than 5 years. Past U.S. officials opposed it because the Saudis could use the American technology to pursue a nuclear weapon, in violation of the Non-Proliferation Treaty Saudi Arabia acceded to in 1988. Under President Trump, the Crown Prince finally got what he wanted. However, the day after announcing the deal, the president caused some confusion by tacking on a condition, so it's not entirely clear right now if this deal will survive.
In order to do it, they have to be a member of the Abraham Accords, which have been very successful. But it's time now that they do it. They and others didn't want to do it because of the problem that they had with Iran. You don't have that problem anymore. You don't have a great power there anymore. You have a problem, but the problem is disappearing day by day.
Aaron Dumbacker, a nuclear weapons expert at the Council on Foreign Relations, says in the past, U.S. civil nuclear cooperation agreements allowed for more peaceful use of nuclear technology for energy, medical, and research purposes without the facilities to enrich nuclear material. Enrichment levels below roughly 5%, she says, are all that is required for energy generation. If enriched to high levels, weaponization seems likely. U.S. policy has historically been to curtail enrichment and ask countries with peaceful nuclear programs to sign on to an international monitoring and inspections regime. And that goes all the way back to Atoms for Peace, President Eisenhower speaking before the UN General Assembly December 8, 1953. He unveiled his plan to deal with a dangerous nuclear arms race. He proposed creating an IAEA, an International Atomic Energy Agency, reducing stockpiles and sharing peaceful atomic technology for medicine, agriculture, and electricity.
The more important responsibility of this Atomic Energy Agency would be to devise methods whereby this fissionable material would be allocated to serve the peaceful pursuits of mankind. Experts would be mobilized to apply atomic energy to the needs of agriculture, medicine, and other peaceful activities. A special purpose would be to provide abundant electrical energy in the power-starved areas of the world.
And Iran was one of the first beneficiaries of Atoms for Peace. Saudi Arabia never showed interest in building nuclear reactors until relatively recently. In an article for MS Now, nuclear weapons expert Joe Cirincione says, in 2013, the Saudis unveiled a plan to build as many as 16 reactors. But Saudi nuclear power reactors make little economic sense, he says. Nuclear is the most expensive way to produce electricity. And Saudi Arabia sits on an ocean of oil and is ideally suited for much cheaper solar and wind energy production. Still, Cirincione says, if it just wanted to waste its money on reactors, that wouldn't be a problem. But it wants much more. Joe Cirincione, a career expert on nuclear non-proliferation, now writes the Strategy and History newsletter on Substack. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Martin. Pleasure to be here again.
You are my unofficial nuclear weapons history of proliferation expert for History as It Happens. What is the history of Saudi Arabia's nuclear ambitions? For instance, Saudi Arabia did not benefit from the Atoms for Peace program under Eisenhower in the 1950s, although Iran did.
Right. In the 1950s, Eisenhower thought that the way to solve this problem of sharing nuclear technology without giving people the means to make nuclear weapons was this Atoms for Peace program, where we would sell technology for peaceful nuclear purposes so they could build reactors, etc., do medical research. Saudi Arabia wasn't at all interested at that point. The Shah of Iran was. We had installed the Shah of Iran in the 1953 coup, where we overthrew the government of Iran and put the Shah in. And in the 1970s, the Shah of Iran was very interested in building up a nuclear program in Iran and made deals with the United States that included not just building nuclear reactors, but also plans for uranium enrichment, plans for plutonium reprocessing. Saudi Arabia didn't play a role at all in those days. Saudi Arabia's interest in nuclear technology seems to have risen up in about 2009, 2010, when there was this upsurge of interest from Arab nations in nuclear technologies because of what Iran was doing, because of the growth of Iran's centrifuge program. Not much came of it until about 2013, when Saudi Arabia announced a plan to build 16 nuclear reactors, a very ambitious number of nuclear reactors. And this, of course, got nuclear reactor contractors salivating over the prospect of these contracts in what was then a generally moribund nuclear power market. Not much came of that. Nobody actually built anything until this breakthrough agreement with the United States, which the president signed just a couple of weeks ago.
So Saudi Arabia did accede to the NPT, the Non-Proliferation Treaty, in 1988. But I guess that was then, this is now.
We should be very clear about this. The agreement that Saudi Arabia and the United States signed is greenlighting a Saudi nuclear bomb program for two reasons. One is that Saudi Arabia, it doesn't make any economic sense at all for Saudi Arabia to build nuclear reactors. They produce most of their electricity right now by burning fossil fuel. They want to diversify from that. They are awash in sunshine and wind. It would cost them approximately 10 times more to generate electricity from nuclear energy than it would from solar, wind, and natural gas. So it doesn't make any economic sense. But second is that they don't want just the nuclear reactors. They want the whole fuel cycle. They want the ability to enrich uranium and reprocess plutonium. Now, there are legitimate civilian uses for this.
To listen to the rest of this 17-minute episode, tap subscribe now in the show notes or go to historyasithappens.com to sign up. For your subscription, which is only $5 a month, you'll enjoy ad-free listening, all of our bonus content, and early access to every new episode of History as It Happens. Become a subscriber today.